Hi everyone and welcome back to EV Unplugged. Following on my first video that I did last week about the up and coming UK budget and the potential that a pay per mile tax could be introduced, I thought I'd take a little bit more of a deeper dive into this, especially considering some of the feedback that I got on the video, particularly from those ICE drivers who seem to think it's going to basically stop everybody from driving a car, but it's not. So, as you're going to find out in this video, I'm going to take a look into how much it costs me personally to drive about 9,000 miles a year, which is what the UK average is, and it's kind of what I'm doing as well at the moment. And at what point the electric car would cost the same or more to run than a petrol car. So we're comparing four scenarios. We're going to compare charging an EV at home with 3 pence per mile added as a tax. This is different to VED tax. I think some people are getting confused with the difference between pay per mile tax and the vehicle excise tax, or what used to be road tax. They are different things, okay? So the VED tax is applicable to most cars on the UK roads. The pay per mile at the moment is being voiced at only towards the EV market, which is a little bit unfair, but we'll cover that. So the third scenario we're going to look at is what's the cost of a petrol doing the same 9,000 miles a year. And finally, the fourth scenario is how high would an EV pay per mile road usage charge have to be to make it the same as driving a petrol car? And I think that might surprise you a little bit. So let's get straight into the numbers. So scenario number one, my EV is being charged at home. I'm currently paying 7 pence per kilowatt hour off peak. So the annual mileage is 9,000 miles, as we've said. This is a little bit higher than what I currently do, but it's not too far off. I work from home locally quite often, so my mileage has dropped significantly over the last few years. My car has an efficiency of about 4 miles per kilowatt hour. Now, this does drop during the winter, and I will tell you that it has dropped because the colder weather's coming, but it will go up to about 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour in the summer. So we're going with 4 at the moment as the middle of the road. And finally, the cost of energy from home is 7 pence per kilowatt hour. This is with a British gas tariff. However, as I have a Hive charger, I actually get it for about 4 pence per kilowatt hour. So it's even cheaper. But we'll ignore that because not everybody has a Hive charger. The 7 pence per kilowatt hour is available to everybody regardless of what charger they have. So the maths bit, 9,000 miles divided by 4 miles per kilowatt hour means I will need 2,250 kilowatts of energy per year to do that mileage. Times that by 7 pence equals a whopping £157 a year to drive my EV. So for less than £160 per year, you are able to drive about 9,000 miles in an EV. That's insanely cheap. And yet the oil-backed media and EV haters claim that EV driving is expensive. Anyway, that's an argument for another day. So let's carry on. Scenario 2 then. We'll use the same details as scenario 1, but we will add the 3 pence per mile that's been voiced. I do think this is a cash grab by the government with very little thought about the long-term effects that this could have on EV sales within the UK and the potential delays in cleaning air in towns and cities that would reduce NHS burdens and people dying early in life due to chronic respiratory conditions from pollution from exhausts. However, that is a video I have already done, so please go and have a look at it. It does make interesting watching, as PM2.5 particulates have been linked to cancer and other respiratory conditions. So based on 9,000 miles per year on the rate of 3 pence per mile, this would add a £270 tax to the fuel. So when we add that together, the total is about £427. So just under £430, I will be able to do 9,000 miles. I will be paying the voiced 3 pence per mile road usage charge. Okay, so scenario 3. We'll take the same example, but it's a petrol car, does 40 miles per gallon. And to be honest, that's quite good in some of the cars that I've been driving recently, they're struggling to get 35 to 37 miles per gallon. I don't know what's going on. They don't seem to be very efficient. So I have driven quite a few new cars because I have them for work, and they just struggle with miles per gallon. So the cost of petrol around me at the moment is £1.35 per litre. So this means that the car would use approximately 1,025 litres. That would cost a whopping £1,384 per year in fuel. That's £1,227 more per year than just charging at home. And with the pay per mile scheme on the driving the EV is still £957 a year cheaper than petrol, who don't have this road usage taxed. That's like the cost of a week abroad somewhere. Maybe not during school holidays, but it's a holiday per year purely out of savings by driving an EV. So here's the big question then. Scenario 4. If electricity costs stay the same, so £157 a year, how much would the road usage charge have to rise to make the cost of driving an EV equal to driving a petrol car which doesn't have the pay per mile tax? So the cost of petrol is £1,384 minus the £157 for the EV charging. That leaves £1,226 difference. So divide that by the 9,000 miles per year driven. That means that the cost per mile tax would have to rise to 13.6 pence per mile. At that point, petrol in an EV just on driving alone would be the same. Now, there are other benefits, such as some of the older ICE cars have cheaper, vehicle excise duty. Some have got better efficiency. Some of these don't have congestion charges or ultra low emission zone charges, whereas ICE cars do. Depends on where you live. So there are pros and cons either way. But on paper, doing the math, if they wanted to make EV driving the same cost as petrol driving, then they would have to raise it to 13.6 pence. Below that, you are saving money driving an EV car. And the numbers don't lie. So just to recap, charging at home only is £157 a year, plus the 3p tax. That takes up to £427. Petrol cars, £1,384 a year just for petrol alone. And then obviously, if they wanted to make EV and petrol driving the same value, they would have to raise the cost per mile to 13 pence. So what does this show? Well, it shows that charging at home is so incredibly cheap, under £160 a year for 9,000 miles. Yeah, you can't beat that. So to wrap up, EVs just don't save money. They have to get a lot more expensive before they even match petrol running costs. Let me know in the comments below, would a 13 pence per mile road charge put you off owning an EV over a petrol, considering that an EV also allows for cleaner air in towns and cities, reducing health conditions, poisoning children and other people that walk past them while they're idling in traffic? Don't forget, if you found this video useful, like and subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me for every person that subscribes to the channel. Costs you nothing, but it really does help me out. And I'll see you in the next video.